The streets of Atlanta are buzzing, the blogs won't stop talking, and fans everywhere are clutching their phones in shock. A video, yes, a secret video has allegedly leaked and it's sending waves through the entire love and hip-hop Atlanta community. Picture this, Kirk Frost, the man at the center of so many betrayals and scandals, caught on camera with Jasmine Washington, the very woman who has been the thorn in Rasheeda's side for years. But this time, the alleged footage isn't just of them meeting in a random parking lot or sneaking around a club. No, this time, it's said to have taken place inside Pressed, Rasheeda's own boutique, the crown jewel of her empire. If that's true, it isn't just betrayal, it's war. Fans who have seen snippets claim the grainy video shows Kirk leaning in too close to Jasmine near a rack of new arrivals, whispering something that makes her laugh in a way no friendly conversation ever should. One frame, reportedly, even captures his hand brushing against hers as if they weren't standing in his wife's store, surrounded by the very brand Rasheeda built with her sweat and tears. Within minutes of the leak, social media exploded. Twitter was ablaze with hashtags like #KirkCaughtAgain and #PressedWithDrama. Instagram fan pages froze the video frame by frame, analyzing every gesture and every angle, debating whether it's really Kirk and Jasmine or a lookalike duo planted to stir chaos. But let's be honest, this wouldn't be the first time Kirk was caught in a compromising situation, and fans aren't quick to give him the benefit of the doubt. What makes this even more explosive is the location. Rasheeda's boutique isn't just a store, it's a symbol of her independence, her success, her ability to rise above Kirk's past mistakes. To have Jasmine, the woman tied to Kirk's biggest scandal, standing in that space with him, it's like pouring gasoline on an already raging fire. People are already asking, was this an innocent encounter, a business conversation twisted out of context, or has Kirk once again crossed the line he promised never to step over? And most importantly, what does Rasheeda know and how will she respond when the smoke clears? This is the scandal nobody saw coming, and yet everybody feared, because in the world of LHHATL, where betrayal is currency and loyalty is tested at every turn, nothing stays hidden for long. Stay locked in, because what we're about to uncover will shake not only the Frost family but the entire Atlanta scene to its core. The video had barely circulated online for a few hours when the entire city of Atlanta seemed to be talking about nothing else. Pressed Rasheeda's boutique had always been a sanctuary, a place where her hustle, resilience, and reputation came together under bright lights and racks of designer clothes. Yet suddenly, it became the backdrop of a scandal so explosive that fans could hardly believe their eyes. In the leaked clip, Kirk appeared far too comfortable with Jasmine Washington, the woman whose very name had once broken Rasheeda's heart and divided the Frost household. The whispers, the hand touches, the way Jasmine leaned in as if they were sharing a private joke, all of it screamed intimacy, not business. And if this was true, it was the ultimate disrespect. Not just to Rasheeda as a wife, but to Rasheeda as a boss and a woman who had built an empire from scratch. Outside the boutique, fans gathered like it was a crime scene. Some recorded live streams for Instagram, narrating what they thought had happened, while others snapped selfies in front of the store's glass windows, adding captions like, "This is where the betrayal went down." The boutique's employees looked frazzled, struggling to keep the chaos contained. One assistant whispered on the phone to a friend, "I don't know what to believe. But if Rasheeda sees this video, it's about to get real ugly." Meanwhile, Kirk tried to stay low, refusing to confirm or deny anything, but his silence spoke louder than any denial ever could. He had been through scandals before: baby rumors, late-night disappearances, confessions caught on camera, and every time, he had promised to do better. Every time, Rasheeda had extended grace she didn't owe him. Yet here he was again, surrounded by the smoke of suspicion, while Jasmine remained unbothered, even smug. On social media, Jasmine added fuel to the fire with a cryptic Instagram story, a photo of her freshly manicured nails resting on a shopping bag from Pressed, captioned with, "Some things never change." Fans lost their minds. Was she confirming the encounter? Was she mocking Rasheeda by flaunting her presence in the boutique? Or was she simply playing into the chaos for clout? Whatever her intent, the timing was brutal. The post spread like wildfire, convincing many that the leaked video wasn't fabricated at all. Rasheeda, however, was still silent. The silence made it worse because everyone knew when Rasheeda stayed quiet, it meant she was boiling inside. Her friends, like Carly Red and Yandy Smith, began sending her messages of support, with Carly even posting a shady TikTok where she mouthed along to a sound clip saying, "Some men never learn." The comment section filled with fire emojis and tags, dragging Kirk's name through the mud. Back at home, Rasheeda sat in her living room, replaying the video again and again. Her boutique was sacred, her pride, and the idea that Jasmine dared to step inside those doors, let alone with her husband by her side, made her chest tighten. She wanted answers, but more than that, she wanted respect, and at that moment, she felt stripped of it. Kirk walked into the room, phone in hand, trying to play it cool. "Babe, you know how people are. They blow stuff up online for clicks. You really think I'd be stupid enough to do something like that at your store?" Rasheeda's eyes narrowed. "It's not just the store, Kirk, it's the disrespect. Every time I look at you, it's another excuse, another rumor, another woman. And now Jasmine. Again, in my boutique. Are you trying to humiliate me?" Her voice cracked at the end, a rare slip in her otherwise strong demeanor. Kirk stepped closer, reaching out to touch her shoulder, but she pulled back. "It wasn't like that," he muttered. "She came in. She wanted to talk. I didn't want to make a scene. Cameras caught it, and now everybody acting like they know everything. I didn't do nothing wrong." But Rasheeda wasn't convinced. The years of lies weighed heavy on her, and even if he spoke truth now, the damage was already done. To the world, she was once again the wife betrayed, the woman forced to face humiliation in front of millions. And the cruel part was that this wasn't even a show episode, it was real life, caught on camera for everyone to consume. At that very moment, Jasmine was enjoying the spotlight. She posted another story, this time a boomerang of her sipping champagne with the caption, "Two new beginnings." Fans immediately connected the dots. Was she hinting at a fresh chapter with Kirk? Or was she just taunting Rasheeda? Whatever her game was, she was winning the internet war, and Kirk's reputation was crumbling by the hour. By the following morning, gossip blogs had spun the story into headlines. Kirk Frost spotted cozying up to Jasmine Washington at Priest, and Rasheeda humiliated, once again by husband's betrayal. TMZ's tile outlets dissected the footage, debating lighting angles, body language, and motive. Even mainstream outlets picked it up, framing it as yet another chapter in the saga of reality TV's most infamous couple. Rasheeda's mother, Shalene, stormed into her daughter's house before noon, waving her phone with the video pulled up. "I told you about this man. I told you years ago, and now look. In your own store, Rasheeda. In your store. How much more are you gonna take?" The words stung, because deep down, Rasheeda knew her mother was right. But walking away from Kirk wasn't as simple as packing a bag. They had kids, businesses, history, and a bond that, no matter how broken, tied them together. Kirk sat quietly in the corner, avoiding Shirlene's glare. He knew better than to argue with her, but even his silence irritated Rasheeda, who wanted him to fight for her, to show some kind of desperation. Instead, he looked guilty, almost defeated, as if he knew the battle was already lost. Fans online began organizing hashtags calling for Rasheeda to leave Kirk once and for all. Hashtag free, RASHEED, trended alongside hashtag Kirk exposed. Meme pages mocked him relentlessly, with one viral post showing a man sneaking into a boutique with the caption, "When you can't stay faithful for even if her still clung to the idea of family, of love." Of all the years she had poured into Kirk, yet one thing was certain, Jasmine had forced her hand. By stepping into her boutique and flaunting it online, Jasmine had declared war, and Rasheeda, no matter how conflicted, was ready to fight back. What none of them knew was that another revelation was looming, one so shocking that even the boldest fans, the loudest bloggers, and the most skeptical friends would be left speechless. Because the boutique scandal was only the beginning of a much deeper betrayal that had been brewing beneath the surface. The leaked window footage was still making the rounds when the fallout hit Rasheeda in a way she had never experienced before. Pressed, once her pride and joy, had turned into a circus. Customers weren't buying clothes. They were fishing for gossip. Reporters lingered across the street with cameras ready, while bloggers hung out inside pretending to browse but really waiting for employees to spill tea. Even the most loyal shoppers gave her sympathetic looks, whispering to each other in hushed tones as they fingered racks of clothes. Rasheeda felt stripped of control in her own business. The humiliation burned deeper when a fan uploaded a TikTok showing Jasmine casually walking through the boutique a few days before the leak, as if she belonged there. The caption read, "She was scouting the battlefield before she dropped the bomb." Millions watched and shared it, turning Jasmine from scandalous side chick into a headline queen. Her name was everywhere, and Rasheeda's brand, her hard work, was tied directly to the controversy. At home, the atmosphere was poisonous. Rasheeda barely spoke to Kirk, and when she did, her words came sharp, clipped, and heavy with resentment. Kirk tried his usual soft apologies, sitting across from her with hands folded like a man begging for mercy. "Babe, I swear, you gotta believe me. I didn't walk in with her. People making things up. That video ain't even clear. Rasheeda snapped back. Clear enough to have the whole world laughing at me. Clear enough for my kids to see their father on the blogs. You think this is about what you didn't do? It's about what it looks like, Kirk. And right now, it looks like you don't care about me. About us. About nothing but yourself. His defenses crumbled, but instead of retreating, he lashed out in frustration. Why you always believe them over me? You'd rather take Jasmine's word, take the internet's word, than your own husband's. I've been down for you, Rasheeda. But one video and suddenly I'm the enemy again. Rasheeda stared at him in disbelief. You made yourself the enemy. Meanwhile, Jasmine continued to play her part to perfection. She hosted another Instagram Live, this time letting her followers ask anything they wanted. A fan asked if she was trying to ruin Rasheeda's boutique. Jasmine leaned in with a sly grin. Ruin it, baby. I was supporting it. Y'all saw the bag? I shop black. Then she winked, sending the comments into chaos. Another asked if she and Kirk had rekindled things. Jasmine didn't confirm, but she didn't deny either. Some things, she said, swirling her wine glass, don't need to be explained. Actions speak louder than words. The comments exploded with speculation. Some fans cheered her boldness, while others dragged her as shameless. But the effect was the same. Jasmine was trending. Her followers multiplying by the minute, her name echoing across every platform. Within the Frost family, the damage was spreading like wildfire. Rasheeda's kids avoided questions at school, while Charlene, her mother, made it clear she was done holding back. Sitting in Rasheeda's kitchen, she ranted loud enough for Kirk to hear in the next room. I told you, he wasn't no good. I told you from the jump. And now look, making a fool of you again. How many times you gonna let him do this before you stand up for yourself? Kirk finally stormed out from the living room. You don't even know the whole story, Charlene. You always got something to say about me. But last I checked, I'm still here, taking care of my family, making sure this house don't fall apart. Charlene's glare could have cut glass. This house is falling apart because of you. The tension was unbearable, and Rasheeda broke down in tears, whispering, everybody looking at me like I'm weak, like I don't have the strength to walk away. But they don't understand it's not that easy. Her words resonated with fans who sympathized, but others criticized her for staying. The online debate raged. Was Rasheeda a loyal wife, trying to protect her family? Or was she a woman trapped in a cycle of humiliation she couldn't break free from? But the drama didn't stop there, because just as things reached their peak, another bombshell exploded. An anonymous email sent to multiple gossip blogs claimed there was yet another video. This one allegedly showed Kirk and Jasmine not just talking or laughing, but leaving the boutique together in the same car. Screenshots from the supposed footage began circulating. Blurry but suggestive two figures walking into the night, one distinctly resembling Kirk, the other Jasmine. The internet melted down. Fans who had defended Kirk turned their backs instantly. This man, a professional cheater, one wrote. Another tweeted, Rasheeda needs to pack up, pressed, and press charges. Back in Atlanta, Rasheeda sat alone in her boutique office, staring at her reflection in the mirror. The walls that once gave her pride now felt like they were closing in. Her phone buzzed non-stop with messages from producers, cast members, and fans. Everyone wanted her reaction, her side, her next move. She whispered to herself, almost like a prayer. They think they've seen everything, but they don't know me. Not yet. Not fully. Because while Kirk fumbled for excuses and Jasmine basked in the spotlight, Rasheeda was quietly plotting her counterattack. And if her plan worked, the tables would turn in a way nobody, neither fans, nor Kirk, nor Jasmine, was prepared for. The boutique scandal was no longer just about betrayal. It had become a battle for dignity, reputation, and power. And Rasheeda was ready to show Atlanta she wasn't just a victim of Kirk's mistakes, she was a force no one could play with. Rasheeda's decision to fight back wasn't just a reaction, it was survival. For too long, people had labeled her as the woman who swallowed her pride. The loyal wife who forgave the reality star who put business over dignity. But now, with her boutique under siege, her family dragged into public ridicule, and her empire mocked online, she knew she had to reclaim the narrative. The first step was damage control. She called an emergency meeting with her boutique staff. The air inside pressed was heavy with unease, as employees whispered among themselves, afraid their jobs might be at risk. Rasheeda walked in wearing oversized sunglasses, her silence commanding attention. She didn't waste words. From this moment forward, nobody, and I mean nobody, says a word to bloggers, to customers fishing for gossip, or to anybody outside these walls. If I find out someone's leaking information, you're done. Period. Her voice was steady, but the fire in her eyes was undeniable. The staff nodded nervously, but Rasheeda wasn't convinced. She could feel it in her gut that someone had already been compromised. And she was right. Because unknown to her, one of the assistants had already signed a quiet deal with a gossip page to keep funneling inside details. Meanwhile, Jasmine was only escalating. She appeared at a high-profile Atlanta party days later, strutting into the venue in a neon dress that clung to her curves. Paparazzi swarmed her instantly, yelling questions about Kirk. Instead of dodging, she smirked, tossing her hair back and answering with playful ambiguity. "I don't kiss and tell, but y'all already saw enough, didn't you?" The crowd gasped, and her boldness sent headlines skyrocketing the next morning. Jasmine Washington taunts Rasheeda with flirty remarks. Fans were divided. Some applauded Jasmine's audacity, calling her the real queen of ATL drama. Others dragged her mercilessly, labeling her shameless for messing with a married man again. But the truth was, Jasmine didn't care. Every comment, every headline, every angry rant from Rasheeda's supporters only boosted her relevance. Back at the Frost home, the tension between Rasheeda and Kirk was unbearable. She avoided him in hallways, slept with her back turned, and refused to entertain his excuses. One evening, Kirk finally broke down. He sat at the edge of their bed, voice low, almost pleading. "Rasheeda, I can't lose you. I know I've messed up in the past, but I swear, this ain't what it looks like. Jasmine set me up. She wanted this to happen. She wanted us to be here, right now, falling apart." Rasheeda's eyes welled up with tears, but her tone was sharp. "Then why do you keep letting her win? Why do you keep falling into her traps?" "Because I'm tired. Kirk, I'm tired of being embarrassed. I'm tired of forgiving. And I'm tired of everyone thinking I'm weak for staying with you." For once, Kirk had no slick response. He lowered his head, silent, as Rasheeda turned away. But outside the Frost home, the drama only thickened. A popular Atlanta DJ claimed on air that he had proof Jasmine and Kirk were more than just casual acquaintances. "I got a source who says Kirk been spotted picking Jasmine up more than once. Y'all seen that boutique video. But trust meets deeper than that. Rasheeda better open her eyes." The clip went viral, shared across platforms, fueling more speculation. Carly Red, never one to stay quiet during chaos, stirred the pot further. She posted a meme of a man sneaking out of a store with the caption, "Can't keep him pressed." Fans immediately tagged Rasheeda, demanding she clap back. Meanwhile, producers from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta saw dollar signs. The scandal was ratings gold, and they weren't about to waste it. They reached out to both Rasheeda and Jasmine, pushing for a confrontation to be filmed. Rasheeda resisted at first, not wanting her boutique drama exploited for TV, but Jasmine agreed instantly, grinning at the idea of facing Rasheeda in front of cameras. "She wanna act tough. Let's see her energy when I'm standing across from her," Jasmine said in a phone call that mysteriously leaked online. That leak reignited the fire. Fans begged Rasheeda to show up, to finally face Jasmine and demand answers. But Rasheeda wasn't sure. She confided in Kendra Robinson, who urged caution. "Think carefully. This ain't just TV, it's your real life. But if you do face her, don't do it on her terms. Make her step into your world, where you have the power." The suggestion planted a seed. Days later, Rasheeda announced she'd be holding a customer appreciation event at Prespeet, inviting fans, influencers, and local celebs. But everyone knew it wasn't just about the clothes, it was a stage, and Rasheeda was preparing for war. The night of the event, Prest was packed wall-to-wall with flashing cameras, eager fans, and whispers of what might unfold. Rasheeda looked stunning in a glittering gown, her makeup flawless, her demeanor calm yet lethal. Kirk lingered awkwardly in the background, clearly nervous. The air buzzed with anticipation, and sure enough, Jasmine arrived. Dressed in a striking red jumpsuit, she walked in like she owned the place, flashing a smile that only added to the tension. The crowd fell silent. Phones went up instantly, capturing every second. Rasheeda spotted her from across the room and tightened her jaw. This was it, the showdown fans had been waiting for. Jasmine sauntered toward her, smirk intact. "Nice place you got here, Rasheeda. Always loved your taste." The room collectively gasped. Rasheeda's eyes locked on hers, sharp as daggers. "Don't play with me, Jasmine. You've been running your mouth, leaking videos, and disrespecting me in my own space. But tonight, in front of everybody, I want to hear you say it. What exactly are you after?" "My husband, my business, my dignity." Jasmine tilted her head, her smile never faltering. "Why limit myself to just one?" The crowd roared, some screaming in shock, others egging on the drama. Carly pulled out her phone, recording every second for her followers. Kirk stepped forward, trying to intervene, but Rasheeda raised her hand. Don't, not this time. You made this mess, and now it's my turn to clean it up. For the first time in years, Rasheeda wasn't backing down. And fans online who watched the livestream later would say it was the moment she finally reclaimed her crown. But in that boutique, under those bright lights, the confrontation was just beginning, because what Jasmine was about to reveal would take the scandal from shocking to catastrophic. A revelation so wild it would leave Rasheeda, Kirk, and the entire audience reeling. The boutique had never been this loud before. Prest was supposed to be a place where fashion reigned, but on this night, it felt like a courtroom. An arena, a battlefield. Influencers live-streamed, bloggers snapped pictures, and the fans packed against the racks of clothes whispered with a frenzy that drowned out the background music. In the middle of it all, Rasheeda and Jasmine stood locked in a stare-down. Two women who had spent years circling each other in rumors, tears, and accusations. Tonight, there was no hiding. Jasmine leaned on the counter casually, as though she wasn't provoking the woman whose store she had turned into a scandal hotspot. You wanted me here, Rasheeda. Or maybe the truth brought me here. Either way, people finally seeing what I've been saying all along. Kirk can't stay away. The crowd gasped. Rasheeda's nostrils flared, but she kept her composure. Truth. You wouldn't know the truth if it slapped you in the face. All you do is chase clout, stir up chaos, and smile when people suffer. You think this makes you powerful. It just makes you pathetic. Kirk stepped closer, palms raised, voice trembling. Both of y'all need to chill. This ain't the place. But Rasheeda's eyes never left Jasmine. No, Kirk. This is exactly the place. My boutique, my name, my life. She wanted to drag me down in my own space. Fine, let's settle it here. Phones shot higher into the air. Comments flew across Instagram Live. She about to snap. Jasmine looks unbothered. Kirk sweating bullets. Jasmine's smirk widened. Settle what? You already lost. Rasheeda, your husband embarrassed you. Your fans clown you. And your brand is now tied to me. People don't say Prest without thinking about Jasmine Washington. So tell me, who's really winning? The jab landed like a punch to the gut, but Rasheeda refused to show weakness. She straightened her posture, lifted her chin, and delivered her counterblow. The difference between us, Jasmine, is simple. I built something. A family, a business, a legacy. All you got is 15 minutes and a reputation that'll haunt you for life. When people think of Rasheeda, they think of success. When they think of you, they think of scandal. And scandal fades. The boutique erupted, half the crowd cheering Rasheeda, half booing, all of them screaming like fans at a boxing match. But Jasmine wasn't finished. She leaned in, her voice low but cutting, ensuring the cameras caught every word. You sure about that? Because scandal may fade, but babies don't. And if you think Kirk and me ain't got unfinished business, maybe you're the one living in a fantasy. The crowd screamed so loudly that even people outside the boutique stopped in their tracks. Rasheeda's hands trembled, her body frozen between rage and devastation. Kirk's face drained of color, his eyes darting from Rasheeda to Jasmine like a man watching his life collapse. Don't you dare, Rasheeda hissed. Don't you stand in my store and throw out threats about babies like it's some game. Jasmine shrugged. It's not a threat, sweetheart. It's a reminder. A reminder that no matter how much you fight, how many boutiques you open, how many times you forgive, Kirk and I are tied together. Always. At that moment, the boutique wasn't just a store. It was a stage where every old wound reopened, every betrayal resurfaced, every scar turned fresh. Kirk finally lost his composure. Jasmine, shut up. This ain't the time or place. You don't know what you're doing. But Jasmine's laughter cut through him. Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing. You might have kept quiet, but I'm not gonna play small anymore. The world needs to know what's really going on. Rasheeda's voice cracked, but it was sharp as a blade. Then say it. Say whatever you got to say. Jasmine, let's stop dancing around it. You've been running your mouth for years tonight. Spill it all. The entire boutique fell silent. Phones zoomed in. A blogger whispered into her mic. This is history, y'all. We about to get the truth live. Jasmine licked her lips, relishing the moment. You really want it? Fine. Kirk and I been meeting up. Not just once. Not just at this boutique. And if you think he only came to see me about child support, you lying to yourself. He still want me. He always will. The words sliced through the room. Rasheeda stumbled back as if she'd been physically hit. Gasps filled the air, and the comments section on live streams exploded with shock emojis and I knew IT messages. Kirk tried to defend himself, but his voice cracked with desperation. She lying? Rasheeda, don't listen to her. She twisting everything. But Jasmine raised her phone high, pulling up her gallery. Oh, I'm lying. Then explain this. She tapped play. A video flickered to life, a dimly lit clip showing Kirk's unmistakable voice laughing in a car. Jasmine's face briefly visible as she turned the camera toward herself. It was short, grainy, but damning enough. The boutique went wild. Some fans screamed, others booed. Some chanted Rasheeda's name in solidarity, but the damage was undeniable. The world had just witnessed what looked like Kirk and Jasmine together in private. Rasheeda's chest tightened, her breath shallow. For a moment, she couldn't move, couldn't think. Then, with fire in her eyes, she tore off her microphone, pointed a trembling finger at Kirk, and shouted, "You've humiliated me for the last time." The crowd roared. Jasmine smirked. Kirk reached out, begging, "Babe, please, it's not what it looks like." But Rasheeda stormed out of the boutique, leaving chaos in her wake. The fallout was immediate. Clips of the confrontation went viral, racking up millions of views overnight. Headlines screamed, "Jasmine exposes Kirk again, Rasheeda walks out in tears." Fans flooded social media with hashtags like #TeamRasheeda, #KirkExposed, and #JasmineWins. Meme pages turned the confrontation into GIFs, captions, and endless debates. But behind the spectacle, the Frost household was in ruins. Rasheeda locked herself in her room, ignoring Kirk's apologies, ignoring her phone, ignoring the world. Her mother sat by her side, whispering, "It's time to let go, baby. He'll never change." And while Rasheeda wrestled with heartbreak, Jasmine celebrated. She posted a picture of herself sipping champagne with the caption, "Cheers to the truth." Within hours, the post hit 1 million likes, solidifying her status as the most talked about woman in Atlanta. Yet even Jasmine didn't know that her victory was about to come at a cost. Because the scandal she thought she controlled was spiraling into something bigger than her. Bigger than Kirk. Bigger than Rasheeda. A storm was brewing, one that would pull in friends, enemies, and even allies who thought they were safe. And when the next revelation hit, it wouldn't just shake the Frost family, it would tear apart the entire love and hip-hop circle in ways no one saw coming. The confrontation at Prest became the talk of the city for weeks. Every barbershop, every hair salon, every hookah lounge in Atlanta had the same conversation. People weren't even asking whether the footage was real anymore, they were asking how Rasheeda could possibly move forward after being dragged in her own store, in front of her own customers, in front of the whole world. For Rasheeda, the humiliation dug deeper with each replay. Every time she opened her phone, the confrontation stared back at her. The way Jasmine smirked, the gasps from the crowd, the moment she stormed out in tears. It was everywhere, on YouTube, TikTok, even morning radio. She felt like her personal life had been turned into a circus with her as the unwilling clown. But what made it worse was that people close to her weren't just watching, they were taking sides. Carly Red went live on Instagram, shaking her head and saying, "Listen, I love Rasheeda, but she too strong and too smart to keep letting Kirk play her like this. He embarrassed her again, and Jasmine ain't gonna stop unless somebody shuts her down." Yandi Smith posted something more supportive. A long caption about women's strength and solidarity, tagging Rasheeda with words of encouragement. But even in that, fans read between the lines, wondering if Yandi was shading her for staying in the marriage too long. The cast wasn't the only group divided. Fans were splitting into camps, too. Some demanded Rasheeda finally divorce Kirk, while others accused Jasmine of being an opportunist who only wanted fame. The debates raged on Twitter, with hashtags like #FreeRasheeda trending one day, and #JasmineBossedUp trending the next. Inside the Frost home, the air was toxic. Kirk followed Rasheeda around like a shadow, begging for a chance to explain, but she refused to hear it. Her mother moved in temporarily to support her daughter, though everyone knew she was also there to keep an eye on Kirk. The tension boiled over one night when Charlene confronted him in the kitchen. "You ain't never gone change, Kirk. You sit here with your sad face. But the second Jasmine calls, you come running like a dog. You think this family deserves that? You think my daughter deserves that?" Kirk slammed his hand on the counter, frustrated. "I'm sick of you always in my business, Charlene. You don't know everything. Jasmine ain't telling the whole story. Half of this mess is made up." Charlene folded her arms, unimpressed. "Made up? Boy, I saw that video with my own eyes. Ain't no editing in the world gonna fake the way you looked at that girl. You wanted to be there." Rasheeda walked in during the shouting match, her face pale but her voice steady. "Both of y'all stop. I don't care who's lying anymore. I don't care who's exaggerating. What I care about is the fact that I've been humiliated again, and I don't know how to climb out of it this time." Her words silenced the room. For the first time, Rasheeda wasn't just angry, she was broken. Meanwhile, Jasmine doubled down on her new role as Atlanta's villain queen. She started appearing at clubs, getting booked for appearances, and even doing interviews where she carefully skirted the line between denying and admitting. On one podcast, the host asked directly if she and Kirk were together again. Jasmine smirked and said, "Let's just say Kirk's always been there for me when I needed him." The clip went viral. Fans accused her of taunting Rasheeda. Memes flooded timelines, one showing Jasmine with a crown edited onto her head with the words, "Queen of Prest." But Jasmine's rise came with whispers. Other women started sliding into bloggers' DMs, claiming Jasmine wasn't the only one Kirk had been seen with recently. One even sent blurry photos of Kirk outside a hotel with an unidentified woman. The bloggers pounced, dropping headlines like, "Kirk's secret life, more women speak out." For Rasheeda, the rumors were a knife twisting deeper. She hadn't even recovered from the boutique disaster, and now there were whispers of more betrayal. One night, she sat on her bed, staring blankly at her phone as tears rolled down her cheeks. Her kids knocked gently on the door, but she couldn't bring herself to open it. The weight of embarrassment was crushing her spirit. And that's when a new twist shook everything. An anonymous package arrived at Prest, addressed to Rasheeda. Inside was a USB drive and a note that read, "You deserve to know the whole truth. Play it when you're alone." Rasheeda hesitated for hours before finally plugging it into her laptop. What she saw left her speechless. The video began with grainy security footage, Kirk and Jasmine walking out of the boutique together, laughing, but then, the footage cut to a different angle, clearly taken inside a car. The camera showed Kirk in the driver's seat and Jasmine in the passengers, leaning in close, whispering and laughing. At one point, Jasmine kissed him on the cheek, and though he didn't kiss her back, he didn't pull away either. Rasheeda's hands shook so badly she almost dropped the laptop. Her heart raced as she played the clip over and over, searching for any sign that it was doctored. But it looked real. Too real. The next morning, she confronted Kirk with the footage. He froze, his face drained of all color. "Where did you get this? That's all you got to say." Rasheeda shouted, "Where I got it, not what it shows. Not why you sitting in a car with her, letting her kiss you, laughing like everything's a joke." Kirk stammered, "It's not what you think. That video she set me up. She had someone recording us. I didn't even know." Rasheeda's laugh was bitter. "Of course it's a setup. Everything's always somebody else's fault, right? But you keep putting yourself in situations where you get caught. And I'm the one left to look like a fool." Kirk tried to grab her hand, but she pulled away. "Don't touch me. I don't even know if I can look at you right now." The argument ended with Rasheeda locking herself in her office again, leaving Kirk standing in the hallway, broken. Outside, the leak of the USB video hadn't even happened yet. Rasheeda hadn't decided if she wanted to release it, keep it private, or use it as leverage. But the mere existence of that clip meant the scandal wasn't just continuing, it was evolving. Because whoever sent that package wasn't doing it to help her, they were playing a much bigger game. Someone wanted to destroy Kirk completely. And if the rumors were true, the next leak wasn't just about Jasmine. It would pull in names nobody expected, names that could flip Atlanta's entire social scene upside down. And in the middle of it all, Rasheeda had to decide. Was she going to keep standing in the shadow of Kirk's scandals? Or was she finally ready to step into the light and fight for her dignity, no matter the cost? The confrontation at Prest became the talk of the city for weeks. Every barbershop, every hair salon, every hookah lounge in Atlanta had the same conversation. People weren't even asking whether the footage was real anymore, they were asking how Rasheeda could possibly move forward after being dragged in her own store, in front of her own customers, in front of the whole world. For Rasheeda, the humiliation dug deeper with each replay. Every time she opened her phone, the confrontation stared back at her. The way Jasmine smirked, the gasps from the crowd, the moment she stormed out in tears. It was everywhere, on YouTube, TikTok, even morning radio. She felt like her personal life had been turned into a circus with her as the unwilling clown. But what made it worse was that people close to her weren't just watching, they were taking sides. Carly Red went live on Instagram, shaking her head and saying, "Listen, I love Rasheeda, but she too strong and too smart to keep letting Kirk play her like this. He embarrassed her again. And Jasmine ain't gonna stop unless somebody shuts her down." Yandi Smith posted something more supportive. A long caption about women's strength and solidarity, tagging Rasheeda with words of encouragement. But even in that, fans read between the lines, wondering if Yandi was shading her for staying in the marriage too long. The cast wasn't the only group divided. Fans were splitting into camps, too. Some demanded Rasheeda finally divorce Kirk, while others accused Jasmine of being an opportunist who only wanted fame. The debates raged on Twitter, with hashtags like hashtag #FreeRasheeda trending one day, and hashtag Jasmine bossed up trending the next. Inside the Frost home, the air was toxic. Kirk followed Rasheeda around like a shadow, begging for a chance to explain, but she refused to hear it. Her mother moved in temporarily to support her daughter, though everyone knew she was also there to keep an eye on Kirk. The tension boiled over one night when Charlene confronted him in the kitchen. "You ain't never gone change, Kirk. You sit here with your sad face. But the second Jasmine calls, you come running like a dog. You think this family deserves that? You think my daughter deserves that?" Kirk slammed his hand on the counter, frustrated. "I'm sick of you always in my business, Charlene. You don't know everything. Jasmine ain't telling the whole story. Half of this mess is made up." Charlene folded her arms, unimpressed. "Made up? Boy, I saw that video with my own eyes. Ain't no editing in the world gonna fake the way you looked at that girl. You wanted to be there." Rasheeda walked in during the shouting match, her face pale but her voice steady. "Both of y'all stop. I don't care who's lying anymore. I don't care who's exaggerating. What I care about is the fact that I've been humiliated again, and I don't know how to climb out of it this time." Her words silenced the room. For the first time, Rasheeda wasn't just angry, she was broken. Meanwhile, Jasmine doubled down on her new role as Atlanta's villain. She started appearing at clubs, getting booked for appearances, and even doing interviews where she carefully skirted the line between denying and admitting. On one podcast, the host asked directly if she and Kirk were together again. Jasmine smirked and said, "Let's just say Kirk's always been there for me when I needed him." The clip went viral. Fans accused her of taunting Rasheeda. Memes flooded timelines, one showing Jasmine with a crown edited onto her head with the words, "Queen of Pressed." But Jasmine's rise came with whispers. Other women started sliding into bloggers' DMs, claiming Jasmine wasn't the only one Kirk had been seen with recently. One even sent blurry photos of Kirk outside a hotel with an unidentified woman. The bloggers pounced, dropping headlines like, "Kirk's secret life. More women speak out." For Rasheeda, the rumors were a knife twisting deeper. She hadn't even recovered from the boutique disaster, and now there were whispers of more betrayal. One night, she sat on her bed, staring blankly at her phone as tears rolled down her cheeks. Her kids knocked gently on the door, but she couldn't bring herself to open it. The weight of embarrassment was crushing her spirit, and that's when a new twist shook everything. An anonymous package arrived at Pressed, addressed to Rasheeda. Inside was a USB drive and a note that read, "You deserve to know the whole truth. Play it when you're alone." Rasheeda hesitated for hours before finally plugging it into her laptop. What she saw left her speechless. The video began with grainy security footage, Kirk and Jasmine walking out of the boutique together, laughing. But then, the footage cut to a different angle, clearly taken inside a car. The camera showed Kirk in the driver's seat and Jasmine in the passengers, leaning in close, whispering and laughing. At one point, Jasmine kissed him on the cheek, and though he didn't kiss her back, he didn't pull away either. Rasheeda's hands shook so badly she almost dropped the laptop. Her heart raced as she played the clip over and over, searching for any sign that it was doctored. But it looked real. Too real. The next morning, she confronted Kirk with the footage. He froze, his face drained of all color. "Where did you get this? That's all you got to say?" Rasheeda shouted. "Where I got it. Not what it shows. Not why you sitting in a car with her, letting her kiss you, laughing like everything's a joke." Kirk stammered. "It's not what you think. That video, she set me up. She had someone recording us. I didn't even know." Rasheeda's laugh was bitter. "Of course, it's a setup. Everything's always somebody else's fault, right? But you keep putting yourself in situations where you get caught, and I'm the one left to look like a fool." Kirk tried to grab her hand, but she pulled away. "Don't touch me. I don't even know if I can look at you right now." The argument ended with Rasheeda locking herself in her office again, leaving Kirk standing in the hallway, broken. Outside, the leak of the USB video hadn't even happened yet. Rasheeda hadn't decided if she wanted to release it, keep it private, or use it as leverage. But the mere existence of that clip meant the scandal wasn't just continuing, it was evolving. Because whoever sent that package wasn't doing it to help her, they were playing a much bigger game. Someone wanted to destroy Kirk completely. And if the rumors were true, the next leak wasn't just about Jasmine. It would pull in names nobody expected. Names that could flip Atlanta's entire social scene upside down. And in the middle of it all, Rasheeda had to decide. Was she going to keep standing in the shadow of Kirk's scandals? Or was she finally ready to step into the light and fight for her dignity, no matter the cost? The USB lived in Rasheeda's desk drawer like a live wire. Every time she opened the drawer for a pen, She felt it humming at her, daring her to use it. She tried to sleep with the noise of the city outside and the shop alarms pinging on her phone. But the image of Jasmine's mouth brushing Kirk's cheek kept cutting through the dark like headlights. By morning she called Kendra, voice steady but low, and said only, "Come alone." Kendra arrived with legal pads and quiet eyes. She watched the footage twice without speaking, then leaned back and folded her arms. It is real enough to wreck him. It is not enough to win a court. But court is not what this is. This is public opinion. She paused. If you put this into the world, you cannot pull it back. I do not want to post it, Rasheeda said. I want the truth. Then you need to know who filmed it, Kendra replied. And why it landed in your hands now. They brought in a small security firm that specialized in digital forensics. No press, no paperwork in the boutique system, just a cash retainer and a plain envelope. A young tech named Miles mirrored the USB and ran through metadata while the women watched the boutique floor on the live camera grid. Shoppers moved like schools of fish around a rock. A girl held up a dress and whispered to another, "This the rack from the video." Miles looked up after an hour. This was captured on a phone that has been factory reset since. The car angle came from a dash mount. The audio on the boutique exit is patched from the phone mic. Someone curated this. Someone close, Kendra said. Someone who knew how to hurt her and when. The boutique's staff list was short. A floor lead named Bree. 2 juniors on rotation. A backroom clerk who did stock takes. A register manager who never looked up from numbers. Rasheeda thought of the assistant who trembled and confessed that Jasmine had waited before closing. She thought of the sudden spike of blogger visits that had seemed too convenient. She thought of a late delivery that week, which brought a courier through the staff hall and past the camera cabinet. Her stomach tightened. Across town, the city fed on new bait. A burner page posted a 3-second clip from the same car angle with a watermark that read, "Boutique's fans were shocked all over again," and the comments moved like fire through dry grass. Emotions ran high under every repost. Old interviews of Kirk apologizing were stitched to the clip and captioned with bitter jokes. The family was left divided in the replies, with cousins and cousins of cousins arguing under their own names. By noon, the burner page had 100,000 followers and 3 cryptic posts. Part 2 tonight. No NDA can stop the truth. Ask who installed the new camera in aisle 3. Rasheeda read that last line twice. We did not install anything new, she whispered. Miles rolled his chair over to the wall monitor. The camera above that aisle has a different signature than the rest. The firmware date is wrong. Someone swapped it out with a lookalike. How long has it been there? Kendra asked. 2 months, Miles said. Maybe a little more. 2 months. 2 months of quiet, of orders, of clothes hanging in neat color gradients while a cheap eye recorded her brand from above. The thought made the room tilt. She reached for the desk to steady herself and then pushed off it as if it had burned her. Pull every hire from the last 3 months. Every vendor. Every courier. I want a full list on paper. No email. Kendra was already dialing. Also, we will draft 2 things, she said. A cease and desist for the burner page and a notice to every blog that posts the stolen footage. You are not playing small anymore. Cease and desist letters would not stop a storm, but paper gave shape to anger. They sent the notices. The bigger outlets hedged. The gossip sites laughed and posted screenshots of the letters between ads for hair gummies. The burner page uploaded part 2 at 7 p.m. Sharp. It was not more car footage. It was inside pressed. The angle looked down the long mirror wall near the register. Kirk stood there with his phone low. Jasmine leaned against a column, head tipped in toward him, voice too soft to catch. Then a fragment of sound rode up on the feed like a ghost in the wires. We will figure it out, Kirk's voice said, thin and unmistakable. Fans were shocked for the 3rd time in a week, as if shock could renew itself like a season. Emotions ran high in the comment floods. The family was left divided under the flood of calls and texts. Shirlene's phone rang until it locked up. She turned it face down and prayed for patience she did not have. That night, a brick of silence sat in the frost kitchen. Kirk paced, phone in his palm, text bubbles popping and bursting. That audio is spliced, he said. I remember saying that months ago about business, not her. They cut it and laid it in. He looked at Rasheeda like a man who had lost his keys and was begging the door to open anyway. I should have never stood near her. I know how it looks. But I did not come into your store to play you. Rasheeda held his gaze and then looked away. The world is not arguing about your motive. The world is watching your choices. Every time you go near her, you choose chaos over me. She picked up her glass and set it down again without drinking. I built this store. I cannot let it become a stage for your mistakes. Kirk softened his voice. What do you want me to do? She did not answer him. She pulled her phone and typed a message to Miles. Check aisle 3. Find out who touched that camera. The next morning, Prest opened to a line that bent around the block. There were true customers in it, and tourists of sorrow, and vloggers who held their mics up like lanterns. Inside, Bree moved like a traffic cop, pointing, guiding, smiling with a thin mouth. The backroom clerk rolled a steamer across the concrete. One junior folded the same pile of teas 3 times because her hands shook. The register manager counted the drawer twice. Miles slipped in through the stock entrance and climbed a ladder under aisle 3. He unscrewed the camera, passed it down to Kendra in a tote, and then pointed to the ceiling plate. This is new, too, he said. You do not replace a plate unless you want to hide work. Who has a keycard to the back? Kendra asked Bree without preamble. Bree tapped the chain at her neck. Me. Register. Stock. And the courier gets a temp authorization when he has freight. What courier? Kendra said. Nova Metro, Bree said. They picked up the contract when the old outfit missed too many windows. Miles glanced at Kendra. That is not a major. It is a shell run through a subcontract marketplace. They can spin up an LLC in an afternoon and be at your door by Tuesday. Rasheeda felt a cold clarity settle in. This was never just Jasmine pushing clout. Someone built a pipeline. Someone planned this. By noon the burner page posted again. Ask why deliveries changed hands. Then a photo of a logo. Nova Metro. Black letters on a silver rectangle. The comments were a riot. Names were tagged. Conspiracy webs were drawn. Some fans shouted that producers had cooked this for ratings. Others swore a rival boutique had seeded the chaos to knock Prest off its pedestal. One thread said outright that a certain cast member's boyfriend had investments in courier businesses. People wrote young Jock's name in question marks, then crossed it out and wrote Sierra's, then K. Michelle's, then back to Jasmine like a wheel with no axle. Cast group chats pinged like firecrackers. Carly sent receipts of nothing that looked like evidence but felt like gas. Yandi told everyone to log off and breathe. Bambi posted a story that said only, paper trail. Jock laughed on radio and said, people need to stop saying my name in mess I am not in, which made people say his name louder. Producers called and called. They wanted a scene at a downtown lounge. They wanted to sit down at a neutral house with black walls and good light. They wanted tears on cue and a button on the beat. Rasheeda hung up every call. She made her own plan. The customer appreciation event had put her on defense. This next move would not. She called a press conference at the boutique for the following afternoon. No cast promos, no network step-in. She would speak in her store to a handful of outlets that still respected lines. She would lay down the facts she could verify. She would set her own camera on her own tripod and film her own cut. The day arrived with bright sun and the sound of rubber on the street. Inside, racks were spaced wider and the floor shone. A dozen chairs faced the register wall. A small lectern stood near the mirror bank. Kendra reviewed the statement with her in a low voice. You will not say the names we cannot prove. You will say the dates we can. You will frame this as a violation of a woman's business and a mother's peace. You will remind them you are not a storyline, you are a person. Rasheeda nodded. The doors opened and a handful of reporters walked in with pads and cameras. A cluster of fans stood behind the stanchion rope, phones at the ready. Kirk stood near the back with his arms crossed, not by choice. Shirlene took a chair in the front row and folded her hands like a pastor's wife braced for a testimony. Rasheeda stepped to the lectern and let the room quiet. Her voice found a steady middle. For the last 2 months, my business has been under surveillance by a camera that did not belong to us. I did not consent to it. My staff did not install it. My customers shopped under it without knowing. This is not gossip. This is not shade. This is a crime. Reporters scribbled. The fans behind the rope murmured. She continued. Videos that show my husband and a woman inside my store have been edited and distributed by a page that refuses to show its face. That page used footage from my walls and audio spliced to create a story for clicks. I will not play along with that. I will fight the people responsible in court and in the marketplace. I am asking the women who support me to keep shopping without feeding these fires. And I am asking media to stop paying thieves. A reporter raised a hand. Are you saying the car clip is fake? I am saying none of you know where it came from, Rasheeda answered. And that should matter to you. Another tried. Are you leaving your husband? She held his eyes. My marriage is not a press conference. Then she added, softer, I am a wife and a mother who is tired of being ashamed for someone else's choices. I do not know yet where my steps will land, but I know they will be mine. The room shifted. You could feel a portion of the crowd step toward her, not with their feet, but with something like respect. Fans were shocked into a quieter kind of watching. Emotions ran high yet broke into a hush. The family was left divided by hate and hope in equal parts, but for a half-minute you could hear only camera shutters. That was when the back door opened. Bree slipped in with her eyes wide. She moved up the wall like a shadow and leaned close to Kendra's ear. Kendra's face did not change, but she looked at her phone, then at Rasheeda, then at the ceiling. She walked to the lectern and set a hand on the wood. "We need to pause this," she said under her breath. "Miles has the pull on the keycard logs. The swaps on aisle 3 tracked to a code that was cloned from the register manager, but the clone was created from a tap at the courier door. The person who made the clone had to be in the building with both cards." Rasheeda's stomach went hollow. "Who?" she said. Kendra exhaled. "Bree." The word floated in the air like dust. For a beat, the world did not move. Then voices rose without shape. Rasheeda turned her head and saw Bree already crying. Hands up, mouth spilling words that did not come out as words. "I did not know it would go this far," she said. "I was told it was just to watch the floor for shrink. They paid me to swap the camera and to make a copy of the register key because corporate needed redundancies. That is what they said. When the page went live, I told them I wanted out. They sent more money. I was scared." "Who is they?" Kendra asked, crisp and flat. Bree shook her head like a child. "A man from Nova Metro. And another one I saw once in a black cap. He knew the cast by name. He said what would make the show pop. He said the store was the perfect frame. He said everyone is playing a part even if they do not know their lines." The boutique felt colder. Reporters looked at each other with the delicate greed of people who sense a bigger story than they expected. The fans behind the rope started chanting Rasheeda's name again. Not the scream from the confrontation night, but a chorus like a shield. Kirk stepped forward and then stopped. Shirlene stood up slowly, the kind of slow that says a storm has found its center. "Turn off the mics," Rasheeda said. "This is not for your clicks." The reporters hesitated, then lowered cameras as security nudged them back. The doors closed. The room shrank to the circle that mattered. Rasheeda faced Bree. "Did you give them the car clip?" Bree shook her head. "I swear, I did not. The courier man knew when you closed, when he could walk through and service the units. He asked me for schedule cards. That is all." Kendra texted Miles in short, sharp lines. He responded with a name. The Nova Metro registration traced back through 2 shells to a holding group that shared a mailing address with a boutique on the east side that had tried to poach Prest's denim supplier last spring. The owner of that boutique had a boyfriend who managed local night spots. That boyfriend had once done consulting for a certain production company. The web was not clean. It did not need to be clean. It only needed to be sticky. "Fans are going to eat this alive," Kendra said quietly. "If we do not set the pace, it will run us." Rasheeda nodded once. Her eyes were wet but clear. "Then we said it." She turned to the staff. "We are closing early today. We are replacing every camera with our own hands watching. We are moving the register codes to new cards. We are calling the women who shop here to tell them face to face that we protect them." Bree sobbed into her sleeve. "I will leave today," she said. "I am sorry." "You will stay," Rasheeda said after a beat, surprising herself. "You will speak to the police with Kendra. You will hand over every message and every transfer. If you run, you will make me look like a fool again. If you stay and tell the truth, maybe I can heal something in here." She touched her chest once. That night, before the city could invent 5 new versions of the story, Rasheeda posted a video to her own page filmed in her office. No music, no edits. She told the camera exactly what the forensics had found. She told them a courier shell had slid a counterfeit eye into her ceiling. She told them a staffer had helped and had now come forward. She did not gloat and she did not beg. She said 2 lines that cut through the noise. "I am not the fool in this story. I am the woman cleaning up a mess I did not make. Then, if you love me, stop feeding thieves." The clip spread faster than the burner posts had. Because people share dignity almost as quickly as scandal when they are given the chance. Fans were shocked in a new way and began unfollowing the burner page publicly. Emotions ran high in comments that sounded like prayers and promises. The family was left divided by people who wanted blood and people who wanted quiet. But for the first time, the scale tilted toward her. It would have been enough for 1 week. It might have been the whole turn. But the city had one more flare in the dark. At midnight, the burner page threw its final stone. "Last upload," it wrote. "Then I vanish." The clip opened on a parking deck, looking down over the street, shot from hip height. The kind of angle you get when you do not want to be seen recording. A black SUV pulled to the curb. Kirk stepped out, alone. Another figure came from the shadows. Not Jasmine, Not a woman. A man in a black cap. They shook hands. The man handed Kirk a small padded envelope. Kirk took it, slid it under his jacket, and looked over his shoulder like a thief in a parable. The city exploded again. Fans screamed that this proved payoffs. Others swore it was a frame for a drop of keys or documents. Some said it linked the courier shell to Kirk himself. Commentators drew arrows on screenshots and circled shadows like ring. Radio hosts laughed with no joy in their voices and asked what was worse, cheating or conspiring to cheat your wife out of her peace. By dawn, the clip had been mirrored on 100 accounts and the burner page had gone dark. Rasheeda watched the sun cut a pale stripe across her floor and felt the line inside her move. Whatever that envelope was, whoever that man had been, this was not only gossip about a kiss in a car. This was a campaign. She called Kendra and said, "I am done playing defense." Kendra said, "Then we call it what it is. Extortion, interference, wiretaps." She paused. "And we ask him what is in that envelope." Rasheeda hung up and walked to the doorway of the room where Kirk slept on the edge of the mattress like a man who did not trust sleep to be kind. She spoke without raising her voice. "Get dressed," she said. "You are coming with me to the precinct. You are going to hand them anything you have not told me. If you are innocent, the clean air will save you. If you are not, the truth will find you anyway." He looked at her for a long time. Then he nodded and stood. He opened a drawer and took out a small padded envelope, the same kind the city had watched at midnight. He held it like a confession. "You should open it," he said. She did not reach for it. "You brought that into my house," she said. "Now you will carry it out." They walked into the morning as the phones on every block buzzed with the new clip and the headlines that planted question marks like weeds. The city watched from doorways and car seats and bus benches. Fans were shocked again, because shock had become a rhythm. Emotions ran high in every circle, and the family was left divided by a choice that no longer belonged to gossip pages or burner accounts. They reached the steps. He looked at her once. A man emptied out. She looked past him to the glass doors and to her own face faint in the reflection. She felt the next scene arrived like a wave. Inside that envelope was either the worst of him or the chance to pull a thread that would unravel the hands that had built this cruelty. Either way, the truth was in reach, and once it was out, there would be no putting it back. The precinct smelled of coffee and paper. A line of tired faces sat under humming lights, and the frosts drew stares the moment they stepped in. Atlanta was small in its own way. Officers knew the scandal. Clerks whispered the headlines. Phones went still as Kirk placed the padded envelope on the counter like it was a weapon. Detective Rollins, a man with salt at his temples and eyes that carried too much Atlanta history, was assigned to intake. He slid the envelope into an evidence bag without breaking his gaze on Kirk. "You're saying this was handed to you by a courier who has since disappeared?" Kirk nodded. "Yeah. He told me it was paperwork about child support. I didn't even open it. I swear." Rollins raised a brow. "Paperwork handed over in a dark garage." Kirk's throat tightened. He said it was sensitive. "I thought if I didn't take it, Jasmine would make a scene at the store. I was trying to avoid more embarrassment." Rasheeda spoke up before the detective could. "Every time you claim you're avoiding embarrassment, Kirk, you walk us deeper into it." Her voice was calm, not loud, but the weight in it made Rollins glance between them. The detective logged the envelope, then excused himself to open it under a camera. Minutes passed like hours. Finally he returned, holding a file of glossy prints. He dropped them on the table one by one. The first photo showed Kirk at a lounge booth, leaning close to Jasmine, their heads nearly touching. The second showed him outside, pressed with a courier, the same black-capped man, exchanging what looked like cash. The third, blurry but damning, appeared to show Kirk in a hotel hallway with a woman whose face wasn't visible but whose build fans would instantly label as Jasmine. Rasheeda's hand flew to her mouth. The detective stacked the photos and looked at Kirk. "You tell me, set up or confession?" Kirk slammed his fist on the table. "This is staged. Somebody's following me, planting cameras, splicing nights together. That hotel shot. I wasn't there. I know where I was. Somebody is framing me." Rasheeda whispered, "But you were in the garage. You were at the lounge. You were outside my store." He looked at her, voice cracking. "Yes, I was in those places. But not like this. Not cheating. Not betraying you. They're making it look worse." Rollins leaned back. "That courier group is already under watch. Nova Metro. Shell company with ties to some entertainment investments. You're not the first name tangled up in their mess." The word entertainment lingered in the air like smoke. Rasheeda's chest tightened. "You're saying producers are behind this?" Rollins didn't confirm, but his silence was answer enough. By the time they left the precinct, night had fallen. The city buzzed with the newest leak. Someone inside had already pushed photos online. They were everywhere: Twitter threads, Instagram carousels, TikTok edits with slow music and captions like "How much more can Rasheeda take?" Fans were divided yet again. Some screamed that this was proof Kirk had lied all along. Others believed the frame job theory, spinning conspiracy webs with names of producers, rival boutiques, and even cast members. At home, Charlene was waiting. She snatched the phone from Rasheeda's hand and thrust it toward Kirk. "Look at yourself. Look at what you keep dragging into this house. Tell me again how it's all a setup. Tell me again how you're the victim." Kirk's eyes burned. "I am the victim. They're using me. They're using all of us. They want to destroy what we built because they know drama sells. And you're all buying it?" Charlene's laugh was bitter. "Drama doesn't put your hand on Jasmine's cheek. Drama doesn't put you in dark garages." The room broke into shouting. The family was left divided, each voice louder than the last, while Rasheeda stood frozen in the middle, her silence heavier than all their noise. Finally, she spoke, quiet but sharp. "Enough, all of you." The room stilled. She turned to Kirk. "If you're telling the truth, if this really is a setup, then prove it. Not to me, not to them, but to the world. Because I can't carry your guilt on my shoulders anymore." That night, Rasheeda recorded another video for her page. No makeup, no lights, just her and her phone. "I don't know who's behind these leaks," she said, voice trembling but strong. "But I know one thing. My life is not a storyline. My family is not for sale. And I will not break just because people want to see me broken." Within hours, the video hit millions of views. Fans flooded the comments with love, anger, and pleas for her to leave Kirk. Emotions ran high everywhere, and for once, sympathy was firmly on her side. But the storm wasn't over. The burner page reactivated at dawn with one final message. "You've seen the boutique. You've seen the car. You've seen the photos. Tomorrow, you'll hear the audio. And when you do, you'll know who's been pulling the strings all along." The city froze. Blogs speculated nonstop. Was it Jasmine's voice? Kirk's producers? The promise of audio sent shockwaves, because audio meant no more denials, no more guessing, just voices, raw and unedited. Rasheeda scrolled the message again and again, her stomach in knots. For the first time, she wasn't scared of Jasmine. She wasn't scared of fans. She was scared of the truth itself. Because if the audio proved Kirk guilty, her marriage was over. If it proved him innocent, then someone with real power had declared war on the Frosts. And either way, life would never be the same again. The audio leak never came. The burner page that had haunted Atlanta for weeks vanished. Overnight, no final upload. No trace, just gone like smoke. The city kept refreshing, hungry for the next piece of destruction, but there was nothing. The silence became its own ending, leaving more questions than answers. Was it Jasmine behind it all? Was it a rival boutique? Was it producers trying to juice ratings? Or was Kirk himself deeper in this than he would ever admit? For Rasheeda, the absence of proof was its own kind of closure. She stood in her boutique one morning, the racks freshly steamed, the new cameras blinking above, and she realized the power had shifted back to her. She couldn't erase what had been leaked, couldn't undo the humiliation, but she could choose how to rise from it. And rising was the only option left. Kirk trailed behind her quietly, carrying the weight of suspicion that would never fully lift. Jasmine, true to form, basked in the chaos she had helped create, posting veiled captions and smirks for likes and views. The cast speculated, the blogs guessed, the fans debated, but nobody really knew the truth. And maybe that was the cruelest part of all. In the world of love and hip-hop, truth was always murkier than fiction. One thing was certain: the family was left divided. The fans were left stunned, and Atlanta was left waiting for the next chapter. Because in this city, the drama never ends. It only shifts, only simmers, waiting for the next spark. And now, it's your turn. Do you think Kirk was framed, or do you think he fell right back into Jasmine's arms? Was Rasheeda smart to stand by her empire, or should she walk away for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I want to know whose side you're on. Make sure you hit that like button if you were shocked by this scandal. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next bombshell in this saga. Because if there's one thing Atlanta has taught us, it's that secrets never stay buried for long, and the next twist is always closer than you think.